Or, welcome to the first in our series of quick summer sessions about various topics regarding computing at CCR. This presentation is going to be about how to use Jupyter at CCR. So, uh, on the agenda, I want to make it clear I'm going to talk about how to use our actual interfaces for Jupyter. I'm not going to actually talk about how to use Jupyter the app by itself. I'll be covering how to launch a Jupyter session in on demand, some of the pitfalls that come along with that, and then talk about how to set up virtual environments and kernels for Jupyter sessions, and then how to use containers with Jupyter. Cool. All right, so the way that you use Jupyter at CCR is using on demand. That's sort of our portal for any GUI applications that use the cluster. Um, when you log in, you'll see a bunch of different apps. You'll want to scroll down to look for this notebook section, which includes these three Jupyter apps. The first one allows you to request specific resources for a Jupyter session. That's the advanced options one. That's the one I use the most, probably. The second one in these allows you to quickly start a Jupyter session with default resources. So if you just need to quickly spot check something, that's a good option. I rarely ever use this option though. And then the newest one out of these allows you to run Jupyter using your own container, and I'll talk about that a little bit more later. Um, Cool. So when you click on the advanced options, you'll get a long form of things. I can't display the whole form in a PowerPoint slide. It'll have the text be too small. So I've chopped up the form into a few slides, and I'll sort of go over how you fill out the form to request your session. When you first the at the very top of the form, you'll be asked if you want to use Jupyter Lab or Jupyter Notebook. I often opt for Jupyter Lab, but it's fine to use either. Um, and then below that, you'll select modules to load. So if you're using the standard Python installed on the system, this is where you would input the modules that you want to load. Maybe you've installed them yourselves, or you're using some of the ones we've pre-installed. Um, so when you load these modules, it's identical to how you would do in a batch script, or when you're running an interactive session using the module load command. You'll have to load all the dependencies. So here I'm loading SciPy bundle, which includes a variety of scientific computing modules like SciPy and NumPy. Um, that the SciPy bundle has dependencies. In this case, it depends on GCC and OpenMPI. So I have to load those the same way I would, with the module load command. And you can use the module spider command in a terminal session to look for the dependencies. So module spider SciPy bundle will give me these as the dependencies I need to load. Um, Next, below that, will be a section about configuring the cluster. Or what cluster configuration you're requesting. This screenshot that I've posted shows the most common configuration, though your Slurm account will be different. This is my Slurm account. Um, when you these are the three most often common options for cluster partition quality of service. And then the partition quality of service will match up. They'll be the same. These options might not be autofilled correctly, so I always check to make sure that these options are correct. Yeah, maybe that'll be fixed in the near future, but for the time being, you'll want to double check these. You can use the slimits command in a terminal session to see what actual options you have available to your account. Um, and then when you're selecting these options, you won't be able to use ARM64 sessions. So it's just based on how on-demand is built and what it supports. So you'll only be able to use the AMD 64, like the general compute partition. Um, cool. And then below that, you'll see the actual form for requesting resources. You can request the number of CPU cores. In this case, I've put in four. You'll request RAM. This form requests RAM in megabytes. So if you want 32 gigabytes, make sure to write 32,000 megabytes. If you just put 32, you'll request 32 megabytes, and your session will crash because you won't have enough memory to actually launch Jupyter. And then you can also request the number of GPUs that you need. If you don't need GPUs, you can leave that blank. And then you can add node features. In this case, I've used A100, which will request a specific GPU. But there are other node features. That form is completely optional too. You can check our documentation for what other options are available. Other examples include like, requesting MPI nodes, things like that. Uh, cool. So once you fill out that form, you'll hit submit and your session should start up, hopefully without any errors. But say you need like custom workflows, you've installed your own Python modules that you want to run in Jupyter that we don't have installed as modules and you haven't installed them as modules. If you've put them into a virtual environment, you should be able to run your Python session using a kernel built out of that virtual environment. So yeah, as I mentioned, you'll need to build a Jupyter kernel using your virtual environment, and then you'll be able to run that in Jupyter. Um, just be sure that the virtual environment that you use is properly built using the system Python module. So module load Python before you build your virtual environment. If you don't do that, the kernel will just crash. You won't be able to use it in Jupyter. We do see that error come up once in a while. And then don't use Conda for any of your environment needs at CCR. You'll want to use the like virtual environment Python package. The way that you would create the actual kernel, so first you want to activate your virtual environment, assuming you've already built it. So in this case, we'll call it myenv. You'll do the standard source bin activate to get into your environment. Once you're inside, you'll want to pip install the ipykernel module. That'll allow you to build the kernel. And then you'll actually create the kernel with this command. I'm not going to go through all of the steps, but the user flag here is necessary. It installs the kernel into your home directory rather than trying to install it on like a system path, which will cause failures. And then you can choose whatever kernel name you want here. That's how it'll appear in Jupyter Lab. I think I use my kernel in this example, but and then once you have your kernel built, you'll be able to go into your Jupyter session once it's launched, and you'll be able to go to this kernel tab in the help bar and scroll down and change your kernel, and it should appear down here. This will be the standard one that's already like installed on the system. Yeah, and then once you click that, if everything connects, you'll be using that virtual environment to run your Python session. Yeah. And then finally, the other option of using your own software with Python in Jupyter Lab, which is sort of newer, we rolled it out a few months ago, is by using containers. So if your workflow is entirely dependent on containers, you'll be able to run Jupyter in on-demand from inside of the containers. So the on-demand app will run Jupyter out of your container. Um, you must have Jupyter installed inside of your container. You can use pip install Jupyter Lab to do that. And if you're using NGC containers, for example, most of those already have Jupyter Lab pre-installed. But if yours doesn't have Jupyter Lab installed, you'll want to install it. The biggest difference that you'll see in the form is you'll see at the top there will be this path to Aptainer image file. You'll want to include the path to the container. So in this case, I'm using a example PyTorch container. Um, cool. And that allows you to use a variety of Python packages that are more difficult to install and use with Python on the system. I think the most common use case in this regard is to use GPU-enabled Python software. It's like hard to get those packages to actually identify like the CUDA libraries that are needed to interface with the GPUs. Yeah, and then this last slide here, this is a pretty short presentation, but this last slide here has a bunch of links. We'll send out this presentation, but I covered a bunch of stuff pretty quickly. So if you don't know what a container is or how to build your own or what NGC is, I have a bunch of links for containers down here. You can use these, for reference if you have further questions after this. But that's sort of the extent of this presentation. Just a quick intro to how to launch your own Jupyter sessions. But yeah, I'm happy to answer any questions we have. I'll turn my camera back on.
Thanks, Anton. Any questions for Anton? I did put a bunch of links in the chat. We do have, in case you're not aware, we have a course in UB Learns called Using Python at CCR, and that not only covers, virtual environments, potentially running virtual environments in a batch job, but also building them like Anton was describing to use within Jupyter. And there's a few different methods for using Python, and that's all covered in the UB Learns course. There's no, assignments or quizzes or anything like that in the course. You can just flip through, and there's different modules in that course depending on what you're interested in. Like if you're interested in using Python in RStudio, you can jump over to that module, or if you're interested in using Jupyter, we have that too. And if you are interested in using VS Code, first of all, we would ask you just don't. But if you really wanted to, there are a lot of kind of tips and tricks, pitfalls, shall we say, with using Python within Visual Studio Code on our systems. And so we really encourage you to go to that module of the course and take a look at that before you start trying different things with that tool, if that's what you want to use. It is possible to use Jupyter within VS Code. Also, not advised, but if you get to that point and that's really something you want to do, definitely check out the Python course in UB Learns for that. Any questions for Anton? Within the links that I posted here in chat, if you go to the containers documentation, we have a lot of information about just generally using containers on our systems, but we also have some pointers. Instead of building your own containers, making use of those that are already available. And probably the biggest repository for I guess software in an HPC environment would be the NVIDIA containers library, which Anton mentioned. So we have some documentation there on how to pull down containers from NVIDIA. And then if you needed to additionally install, some Python libraries, let's say, to use within your or with your container, we have documentation on that. And again, all of that can kind of get put together, and then you can use Jupyter with that container. So we have lots of different like use cases and workflows that you might potentially need. But if there's anything on there that doesn't quite fit what you're looking for, you can always reach out to us at CCR Help, and we can work through that with you. But definitely, if possible, use the NVIDIA provided containers because they just work. They work great. So
Yep. I would say that it's probably easiest to get your like workflows up and running using containers. There's a little bit of a learning curve there, but I don't think it's too bad. Um, yeah.
so next month we're going to be talking about kind of best practices for getting GPUs at CCR. Again, this is not really a how to use a GPU or how to get your software to use a GPU, but it's how to figure out what GPU resources are available, um, figuring out which ones are going to be best for you to use, and kind of like I guess strategies for requesting the resources so that you can get your jobs run quickly, but also that you're using the resources efficiently. So a little bit of job monitoring, making sure if you're requesting two GPUs that your code's actually using both of them, or kind of, how how to set up your resource requests so that you're not sitting in the queue for days or a week waiting for a single GPU only to have the job crash or something like that. So that's what's coming up for next month. Any other questions before we wrap up? Okay, well, thank you so much for joining us today.
Have a great one, everyone.